Hi, welcome back to EarthBound Beginnings. I am Bean here, as always. Last time we landed in Magicant, the bizarre world made of clouds and bizarre dialogue. Now we're stepping outside of the town walls to run into some enemies and do a bit more exploring of Magicant. Our first enemy here is, he's a toughie. He's got a particularly nasty trick up his sleeve that he will demonstrate shortly here. Once you kill him, he bursts into flames and deals a lot of damage to you before he dies. So if at the end of the match your HP isn't high enough, you're just plain dead. And that's kind of a mean trick if you ask me, but once you know it's there, once you can anticipate it, it's not that bad. It's you know, still very rude obviously, but it's not unnegotiable. So we just met a non-singing monkey, and now here is a cat who swims on the ground. The swimming cats all carry items on them. The swimming cat we met at the start of Magicant and that one there. They all have items that they will give us once we have more members in our party. Right now it's just us. Here is the hermit that was referenced by an earlier NPC. He will tell us a story once we become really strong. So remind me to come back here, please, once we're stronger. Write it down so I don't forget. Oh, Magicant. What a land of whimsy. To the northwest, we're gonna find Queen Mary's Fountain. These guys are odd looking. I think they're supposed to be wearing some kind of hood over their head. I don't know how to interpret their sprite. Anyways, the fountain heals us completely, and for free, which is great. But also, if we give the fountain our soulful cry, the benevolent old man shows up. Who is the benevolent old man? Well, he acts as an ATM, of course. He is withdrawals only, unfortunately, so you can't deposit any money. So you gotta withdraw carefully, because what if you die and then you beef it and then you lose all that money? Rough go. So now is as good a time as any to clear out some stuff out of our inventory. I'm gonna drop off the rope because I'm just gonna keep forgetting to use it otherwise. And I'll drop off the ocarina because we won't be needing that until much later in the game. And I'll also drop off the antidote because I feel like I've got enough psychic points to justify not carrying an antidote on me. And I'm also going to spend that money on some defensive items. The cheapest ones you got, please and thank you. That means the peace coin, and then we're going to swing next door and grab a brass ring. These both just boost our defense a little bit. That's all they really do. We're going to go ahead and equip those right away. Our first defensive items in the game. Hooray! Hooray! And now we're going to go to Queen Mary's Castle. Following the path, clearly laid out. All those stones have 2 X's on the top of them. We gotta solve their riddle first, though. How do we do that? We read their mind, of course. Yeah, telepathy is just a plot, like, trigger move. And here's Queen Mary's Castle. I quite like the music in this castle. It only plays here, and it's very, it's low-key and very pretty, I think. Underrated track in a soundtrack full of hot tunes. And speaking of hot tunes, we learn here that Queen Mary is not feeling well and wakes up having nightmares or some such. Poor Queen. Why don't we say hey to the Queen Mary, Queen of Magicant. She is over here. Here she is. Aw. What a good deal. Yep, there it is. That's what we're getting the melodies for. It's official. So once we've got them all, we'll take the ocarina, and play all 8 melodies for Queen Mary so that she can remember her song. What a positive message to give the player. Now back here there's a whole bunch of treasure. I'm not going to get much of it yet, just because I would rather save it for later in the game, I think, instead of wasting it right away. With one exception, I'm going to go into this room and get the boomerang, which is a very powerful offensive item, and it's going to make these upcoming battles throughout Magicant much, much easier. Also, you may have noticed that getting the boomerang emptied all the other presents, so you gotta pick your choice wisely in there. All those presents have different things, and they all become inaccessible after you open one of the presents. It's a little rude. This is a game where, you know what, you would be forgiven, I think, for having a walkthrough handy, because it can be mighty rude sometimes. But, you know, it is from 1989, so it's not perfect. Anyways, here's a new foe. His name is Groucho. There's an interesting way you can deal with this enemy. If you just check him, he will say hello and then walk away, and you will get more experience than you would have otherwise if you had just fought him normally. That's the only enemy, I believe, throughout the whole game that behaves that way. Very, very good enemy. Anyways, here is the home of the 5 flying men. His destiny is to help us. The flying man is now a member of our team. That's great. Now, there are 5 of them, and you'll see how they behave in this battle, kind of. Unlike Pippi, we do not control the flying man. The flying man will just attack automatically on their own. They also have HP of their own, which we cannot see. And they also have, you know, stats, the whole 9 yards. It's all invisible to the player, though. We just fought Mom's Eyes, and now we're fighting Dad's Eyes. So, make of that what you will. That's pretty much the lay of the land in Magicant. Castle to the north, fountain to the northwest, flying man's home north-north, and hermit's home west-west. All of those wells will lead nowhere, or not lead nowhere, I should say. All of those wells are basically fakes, except for this one, which will lead us into this rather annoying little maze, made up of all rooms like this, basically. All rooms with 2 holes in them. Now we're going to fight the whole family. Dad's Eyes, Mom's Eyes, and a Watcher. The eyes on their own are pretty, you know, easy to deal with. But when they attack in a group like this, they can kind of be a pain. You'll see here that they'll actually, they'll kill Flying Man shortly. Flying Man can die. They have their own set of HP, of course. And when a Flying Man dies, it dies for real. It's gone. So you gotta use those 5 flying men sparingly and carefully. Oh, I was mistaken. I don't think the flying man passed away. Oh no, he did. He did not make it through that battle alive, unfortunately. You fought well and you fought hard, flying man. You will not be forgotten. And another eyes variant, the 4 eyes. 4 eyes doesn't look super impressed with us, but like the other's eyes, he's not too tough to deal with. This maze is not actually that annoying to deal with. You just kind of, because there's not a lot of options, really. My strategy is keep going down the left one until you hit a dead end, come out, go down the right one, until you hit another dead end, and then, you know, go back until you, like, you know, rinse and repeat. It's pretty easy. And look, we're already through and on to the next part of the maze. This part of the map, in fact, is much more complicated in the original Japanese Mother. It was made much simpler for the American release, which I appreciate, frankly. I'm into that. It's not the only area of the game that was that had its difficulty toned down a bit. We'll run into some more areas like that later. Hey, we leveled up. Isn't that great? And we've got a new psi power. We learned a little thing called 4th D slip. 4th D slip basically acts as an instant guaranteed getaway. So you can risk it on a free run, or you can spend the psychic points and get out of there free. That'll be very useful much later in the game when we run into repeated random encounters with very, very tough enemies. Here's a new guy. His name is Ulrich, and he has a smile on his face. He's gonna hit us with thunder quite repeatedly, so he's a little tougher than the mom's eyes and the dad's eyes. But luckily we still deal with him pretty easily. Quite like that thunder sound effect. Another family encounter. I edited this family encounter out, of course, but this one actually gave me quite a run for my money. At one point they had me down to 1 HP. It was pretty dramatic. Yeah, this part of the game is, as you can imagine, can be a little tricky. I'm lucking out and getting a lot of encounters with the eyes, who are very easy to deal with. So that's good. Some of the enemies are a little ruder though. Here's a dragon. We can't wake it up though, so we'll have to come back later, I guess. Now what's in the hole, you're wondering? The hole contains a boss fight. The fish. It's a good sprite for a fish, I think. Now this battle I had forgotten about, and I am not super prepared for it. The fish does a continuous attack that deals me about 20 HP total. Now whenever I heal around 30 something. So as a result, this battle is mostly me healing a lot and then trying to find the right window to attack. Because, you know, if I let my HP get down too low, then suddenly I'm done. I'm donezo. So this is a very slow fight, rather, because I spend a lot of it just healing and healing and healing, just trying to get. Because every time, effectively, if I heal a turn, I only gain 10 HP because he deals me 20, right? So it's tough to strike that balance of, you know, when should I attack, when should I not attack. And since we're in this kind of stalemate, I'm also concerned that, you know, one crit on the fish's part will effectively be the death of me. So around here is where I start playing it real safe. Even though I'm up quite a bit, I still, yeah, I'm already down to 30 again. So life up again, get me back up there. I was definitely concerned that I was not going to make it out of this alive, but luckily I pulled through, at the cost of nearly all of my psychic points. And I leveled up too. And in here we're going to find the onyx hook. Interesting little item, the onyx hook. Onyx hook, you can use it pretty much anywhere in the game and it'll warp you right back to magicant. So it acts as an escape rope with the caveat of you can bail out of anywhere you want basically, but you're going to have to go through this whole gauntlet again if you want to get out of magicant and get back to where you were. So it's kind of just like a last-ditch effort. And finally, in this present, we're going to find a sword. The sword is not useful to me right now, unfortunately, because Bean cannot equip it. And that about does it for this episode. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we will see you next time when we finally get out of magicant.